Let's get right into it. Number 10, fear is free dopamine. You know how people line up around the block for haunted houses every October? It's not because they actually want to meet a sweaty guy in a plastic mask who paid $30 for a fake machete. It's because your brain has a weird little kink. It loves fear in controlled doses. When you're scared but safe, like watching a horror movie on your couch with your cat glaring at you, the brain dumps dopamine. It's the same chemical that makes chocolate, Instagram likes, and impulsively buying useless stuff at 2 a.m. Feel good. Creepy things trigger your fight or flight system, but since you're not actually in danger, your brain's like, cool, adrenaline rush without the lion mauling. Jackpot. Think of it like riding a roller coaster. Half your body is convinced you're about to die, but the other half is screaming, "This is so fun." That's basically fear turned into entertainment. Creepy dolls, haunted forests, unsettling paintings of children from the Victorian era, all of them give you a dopamine buzz. You don't enjoy them because you're broken. You enjoy them because your brain thinks near-death experiences are the spice rack of life. So yeah, every time you binge true crime or replay that one horror game where the monster is way too fast, your brain's basically hitting the free sample button at Costco. Except instead of cheese cubes, it's pure terror. Delicious. Number 9, the thrill of control. Ever notice how horror movies get way less scary if you're the one holding the remote? That's because creepy stuff gives you a weird power trip. In real life, you can't pause a mugger or skip ahead past the part where the raccoon attacks your trash can. But in a horror movie, boom pause, rewind, skip to the end where the annoying character finally gets eaten. This illusion of control is why people are obsessed with creepy things you get to flirt with chaos while keeping your finger on the exit button. Haunted houses let you walk into darkness knowing the worst thing waiting for you is a teenager in a rubber mask. That sense of safety wrapped in danger tricks your brain into thinking you're braver than you really are. You survived, sure. It was just an animatronic zombie, but who's counting? It's like renting a shark for a day, but keeping it in a swimming pool. Scary, yes. Actually life-threatening. Not unless you trip and fall face first into its teeth. Creepy things give you the thrill of dancing with danger, while reality stays on a leash. And that leash is the reason you'll gleefully walk into a haunted corn maze but scream when a bug flies into your bedroom lamp. Number 8, morbid curiosity. Picture this, there's a car accident on the side of the road. You don't want to look. You really shouldn't look. But your brain whispers, what if it's gross? Congratulations, you've just experienced morbid curiosity. Humans are wired to rubberneck at disaster, horror, and general nightmare fuel. Creepy things feed that itch by letting you peek at the darkness without actually signing up for trauma. Psychologists think this curiosity comes from survival instincts. Cavemen who ignored creepy sounds in the bushes probably didn't make it to caveman retirement. Curiosity kept us alive, except now it makes us watch documentaries about haunted asylums at 3 a.m. while eating potato chips, because apparently our ancient instincts don't know how to modernize. Morbid curiosity also explains why horror books, true crime podcasts, and cursed TikToks blow up. People want to learn about the worst case scenarios, as if being familiar with axe murderers will somehow prepare them for next Tuesday's work meeting. It won't, but your brain still demands the knowledge. Basically, creepy things scratch the same itch as Googling your weird rash at midnight. You're terrified of what you might find, but deep down, you also kind of want to know. Spoiler, you regret it either way. Number 7, safety training. But spooky. Imagine if your brain was a really bad driving instructor. It keeps showing you crash footage and shouting. See, that's why you don't text and drive. Creepy things work a lot like that. Psychologists argue that horror and creepiness are basically simulations. You watch the character in the basement whisper, "Hello, is anyone there?" and your brain files it away as, okay. Note to self, never investigate strange noises in the dark. You absolute idiot. In a weird way, horror is practice for danger without the ER bill. It's like fire drills, but instead of running outside in an orderly line, you're learning that Ouija boards are terrible life choices. Creepy scenarios train your instincts, avoid shadowy alleys. Don't talk to the guy who collects taxidermied squirrels, and always double check that the antique doll isn't blinking. It's survival boot camp with popcorn. Even kids do this, they play tag and pretend monsters are chasing them. Creepy stuff is just the grown-up version, except it comes with better sound effects and the occasional demon nun. So next time you feel spooked but safe, remember, your brain is just running a training montage. You're Rocky, but instead of punching meat, you're memorizing which horror movie mistakes to avoid. Number 6. Social bonding through screams. Here's a fun experiment. Take a group of friends to a horror movie. By the end, you'll either be holding hands, clinging to each other like baby koalas, or laughing nervously to cover up the fact that you almost cried when the door creaked. Creepy stuff bonds people. Why? Because collective fear is like gorilla glue for human connections. Your ancestors huddled together around the fire, swapping ghost stories, trying not to wet themselves every time a twig snapped in the forest. Today, you and your friends do the same thing, just with overpriced popcorn and Dolby surround sound. Shared terror creates a weird cocktail of relief and trust. You survive together, even if the scariest part was Brenda spilling soda on your shoes. Couples do this too. Nothing says romance like watching your partner scream into a bucket of nachos. The adrenaline makes your brain confuse fear with attraction, which is why first date horror movies are basically free chemistry experiments. Either you fall in love or you never see them again because they abandoned you in the theater lobby when the killer clown showed up. Creepy things aren't just entertainment, they're the social glue we use to trick ourselves into thinking fear bonding is a cute hobby. Spoiler, it is. Number 5. The forbidden fruit effect. Remember being a kid and sneaking a peek at the scary movie you weren't supposed to watch. The thrill wasn't just the monster, it was the fact that it was off limits. Creepy things have this irresistible forbidden fruit effect. If society says, don't look behind that door, your brain immediately wants to open it. Humans are basically cats, but dumber, because at least cats hiss before doing something reckless. This is why haunted and cursed objects fascinate us. Rationally, you know the doll on eBay isn't going to strangle you in your sleep, but the tiny voice in your head whispers, but what if it does? Creepy equals taboo, and taboo equals tempting. That's why entire industries thrive on making stuff scarier than it is. Warning labels, eerie packaging, and forbidden backstories all lure us in. The forbidden fruit effect is also why people flock to haunted places. You could take a perfectly normal abandoned building, slap a ghost rumor on it, and boom, suddenly it's Instagram gold. Humans can't resist the allure of what's hidden, restricted, or just plain unsettling. Basically, the creep factor is less about run away and more about touch the stove because it says hot, and we wonder why evolution took so long. Number 4. The uncanny valley. There's a reason mannequins, dolls, and certain robots feel like they're plotting your demise. Welcome to the uncanny valley, a psychological pothole where something looks almost human but not quite. Your brain's face recognition software short circuits, screaming, close enough to be alive, but something's off. Creepy alert triggered. Evolution may have wired us to distrust things that seem human but aren't. If cavemen saw something vaguely person-shaped moving weirdly in the dark, survival mode kicked in. Was it another human, a predator? A sick member of the tribe carrying something contagious, best not to find out. Fast forward a few thousand years, and suddenly, your grandma's porcelain doll collection looks like it's auditioning for The Conjuring. This uncanny valley effect explains why people feel uneasy around animatronics, wax museums, and humanoid robots. It's like staring at a Photoshop job that's just slightly off your brain. Keep screaming, delete this. Creepy things exploit that discomfort by dangling just enough realism to feel familiar, while withholding the comfort of actual humanity. So yeah, when you see a ventriloquist dummy and your first instinct is to set it on fire, don't blame yourself, blame the uncanny valley, and maybe also the fact that ventriloquist dummies are nightmare fuel designed by Satan's interns. Number 3. Death. But entertaining. Here's a cheerful thought. All creepy things are basically flirting with death. Horror stories, creepy art, haunted houses, they're all polite little reminders that, yes, you too will one day be a skeleton. But instead of spiraling into an existential crisis, we wrap that reminder in entertainment. Creepy stuff is like death's PR manager, turning something horrifying into a Saturday night activity. Humans are obsessed with mortality. We don't like thinking about it directly, so we disguise it with monsters, ghosts, and cursed forests. That's why Halloween is so popular. It's basically group therapy for your fear of death, except instead of crying, you eat candy corn and complain about how bad candy corn is. Creepy things also make death manageable. A zombie apocalypse is terrifying, sure, but it gives death a costume and a script. Instead of inevitable void, it becomes fight the undead with a chainsaw. Way easier to digest. Watching a scary movie or listening to a ghost story is a safe way of saying, okay, death, I see you, but I'm not letting you ruin movie night. So yeah, creepy things are death in a trench coat, pretending to be entertainment, and we fall for it every single time. Number 2, brains love patterns. Your brain is basically a detective who's way too into conspiracy theories. It looks for patterns everywhere, even when they don't exist. Creepy things hijack this obsession. A shadow in the corner must be a ghost. A weird creak in the attic, clearly a demon trying to rent the place. Our pattern-hungry brains can't handle randomness, so they fill in the blanks with fear. This is why creepy music is so effective. Those discordant notes don't mean anything on their own, but your brain stitches them into a pattern that screams, danger incoming. Same with horror visuals, flickering lights, too many mirrors, doors that creak way too slowly. None of that is actually dangerous, but your brain insists there's a story, and that story ends with your obituary. The kicker is, once your brain decides something's creepy, it keeps reinforcing the pattern. That doll didn't move last night. Doesn't matter, you're still convinced it blinked. Creepy things thrive because your brain refuses to accept that sometimes a shadow is just a shadow. Nope. Must be a vampire on vacation. Basically, your brain is the world's worst Sherlock Holmes. It sees clues everywhere, and every conclusion ends with, you're probably doomed. Number 1, pleasure in pain. Here's the paradox that ties it all together. Creepy things are basically psychological hot sauce. Too much, and you're crying in the bathroom questioning your life choices, but just enough, and you're exhilarated, alive, and bragging to your friends about how you totally didn't scream when the ghost jumped out. Fear and pleasure share brain real estate, that adrenaline rush, same pathways as excitement, which is why your body can't always tell the difference between I'm about to die and wow, this is fun. It's called benign masochism, a fancy way of saying humans love flirting with pain as long as it's safe. Spicy food, roller coasters, horror movies, creepy urban legends, they're all in the same category. Your brain treats fear like seasoning. A little danger sprinkled on top makes life taste better. You're not addicted to ghosts, you're addicted to the adrenaline-spiked thrill that comes with pretending you're in danger while actually sitting on your couch eating stale popcorn. Creepy things let you rehearse fear, explore death, and poke at your own survival instincts without needing actual therapy afterward. Well, unless you watched Hereditary, then maybe you do need therapy. So yeah, your brain loves creepy things not because you're secretly broken, but because fear when packaged right is delicious, like ordering a side of nightmares with your fries. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.